Why would a world-famous TV doctor who once commanded millions of viewers with a single sentence trade it all for a quiet lake in Florida? Nestled within 20 acres of whispering grass and mirror-still waters, Dr. Mehmet Oz has built a sanctuary far from the cameras, where silence speaks louder than applause. Today, we step inside his private world and uncover the life he chose beyond the spotlight. What turns a boy from a Turkish immigrant family into one of the most recognizable medical voices on the planet? For Mehmet Oz, the journey began far from fame, in Cleveland, Ohio, where he was born in 1960, to parents who carried with them centuries of Ottoman tradition and the hopes of a better future. His father, Mustafa, was a stern but compassionate man, a thoracic surgeon who commanded respect in every operating room he entered. His mother, Suna, embodied grace and curiosity, a balance of tradition and intellect. But young Mehmet was not handed a legacy. He had to earn it, one brick at a time. From the private halls of Tower Hill School in Delaware to the storied campus of Harvard University, he moved through life like a man on a mission. He wasn't just a student. He was a scholar-athlete, a leader, a fighter. As a defensive back on the Harvard football team, Mehmet learned not just how to take hits, but how to rise after them. What drives a young man to chase excellence with such intensity? Perhaps it was watching his father, day after day, step into hospitals with the burden of lives resting on his shoulders. Perhaps it was the sound of grateful patience, the silent gratitude in their eyes that said, "You saved me." After graduating from Harvard in 1982, he dove deeper into the world of healing, earning his MD from the University of Pennsylvania and an MBA from Wharton, all by 1986. It wasn't just about being a doctor. It was about understanding the system, challenging it, and reshaping it from the inside out. And that's exactly what he did. At New York's Presbyterian Hospital, Oz took on some of the most complex cardiac cases. He wasn't afraid to innovate, even when the old guard doubted him. From pioneering work on the MitraClip to developing advanced ventricular assist devices, Oz wasn't just saving lives, he was changing how they were saved. But not everyone welcomed his methods. His openness to alternative medicine, to healing that transcended scalpels and pills, ruffled feathers. Some saw him as a maverick, others a threat. Yet Dr. Oz pressed on, co-founding the Cardiovascular Institute and creating programs that blended Eastern and Western philosophies. He called it integrative medicine. Critics called it heresy. But behind the backlash was a deeper truth. Oz was forcing the world to confront ideas it wasn't ready for. And then, television came calling. It started subtly. A segment here, a guest appearance there. But everything changed the moment Oprah Winfrey noticed him. Their connection was electric, and before long, she made a call that would rewrite his destiny. In 2009, the Dr. Oz Show debuted. It was more than a talk show. It was a revolution. For over a decade, millions tuned in to hear him break down complex health issues into simple truths. He made cholesterol sound like poetry. He turned gut health into prime-time conversation. He introduced words like resveratrol and probiotics into the American household, and into its medicine cabinets. But fame, as always, has a price. With rising popularity came louder criticism. Was he still a doctor, or had he become a salesman? As his face appeared on supplements, books, and headlines, some questioned his integrity. Was he helping or capitalizing? Dr. Oz never backed down. "I give people the tools," he said. "What they do with them is their journey." Still, deep within, a different voice began to whisper. A quieter one that asked, what if the greatest healing isn't broadcast to millions, but happens in stillness, away from the lights? That whisper would grow louder with time, and eventually, it would lead him far from the stages of Manhattan, to the quiet fields of Okeechobee, Florida, where no one called him doctor, just Mehmet. Next, let's open the gates to that very place and explore the home where he finally found peace. Farm in Florida. What does a man who's seen the inside of hundreds of operating rooms choose as the place to heal himself? Tucked deep within the green stretches of central Florida, far from the roar of network cameras and the buzz of primetime production crews, lies Dr. Mehmet Oz's most private sanctuary, a 20-acre estate in Okeechobee, where the only thing that races is the breeze across the lake. It's not Malibu, not Manhattan, and that's precisely the point. Here, the morning doesn't begin with headlines or studio lights. It begins with sunlight creeping through Spanish moss and the quiet splash of turtles in the pond. At the heart of the estate sits a 3,367 square foot residence. Elegant, refined, but never boastful. Estimated at around $6 million, the house mirrors its owner, rooted in wellness, precision, and peace. So what draws a world-renowned doctor to this particular piece of land? It begins at the gate. A long, curved driveway paved in stone leads you through an orchard of native trees, the kind Oz insists on keeping, for their balance with the soil, the bugs, the ecosystem. The drive itself becomes a transition, from noise to stillness, from obligation to intention. And then, there it is, the house. A soft beige facade greets you with Mediterranean simplicity. The sloped tile roof, arched entryways, and expansive windows suggest classic estate design, but every line is modern, every material selected with purpose. This isn't just architecture, it's therapy. You step inside. The main living area opens up with soaring ceilings and full-height windows that drink in the view of the lake. It's quiet here, but not empty. The stone fireplace, centered beneath a skylight, anchors the room with weight and warmth. The air smells faintly of eucalyptus and cedar, Dr. Oz's favorite blend for morning meditation. Walk a few steps and the space transitions into a chef's kitchen, though chef might not be the right word. For Oz, this is a lab, a temple. Stainless steel appliances hum beside granite countertops. Open shelving displays jars of seeds, herbs, and the occasional bottle of olive oil straight from Turkey. Everything has its place. Everything exists to nourish. Meals, he said, are rituals here, often enjoyed on the adjoining veranda, where wicker chairs overlook a soft blue horizon of water and trees. It's where he writes, reads, and sometimes simply watches the sun shift color across the lake's surface. There are 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, each one a gentle echo of the house's larger philosophy: light, air, and simplicity. The primary suite feels less like a master bedroom and more like a retreat. A sliding glass door opens directly onto a private stone terrace, a space designed for barefoot mornings and quiet reflections. Just beyond, a winding path leads to the water's edge. No boats, no noise, just wind, ripples, and the occasional heron. And then there's the spa zone, not just a pool, a wellness system. The saltwater pool merges seamlessly into a hot water spa, bordered by stone, shaded by palms. Nearby, a yoga deck offers a space for daily stretches or moonlit breathwork. A body in motion heals faster, Oz once said. And here, every inch of the property seems designed to make that possible. The outdoor kitchen, with its wood-fired oven and hanging herbs, hosts family dinners and occasional guests. But most evenings it's just Mehmet and Lisa, sipping tea, talking softly, sometimes not at all. Tucked discreetly behind the main house is a 3-car garage and guest parking, rarely used but impeccably kept. He doesn't flaunt luxury, but he respects order. To Oz, wellness isn't just about what you eat or how you sleep. It's about rhythm, repetition, and the energy that fills a space when it's tended with care. Even the landscaping reflects his mindset. Native flora, Pollinator Gardens, a small greenhouse where he grows turmeric, lavender, and fresh mint for tea. There's no fountain, no gold gates, no statues screaming wealth. Just a home, designed by a doctor, for the soul. And when storms roll through, as they do in Florida, he doesn't flinch. The house was built with reinforced foundations, eco-conscious materials, and energy-efficient systems. Not for show, but for security. Because true peace, he believes, comes from preparation, not denial. This isn't a mansion built to impress. It's a refuge built to restore. A mirror of the very life Oz has spent decades teaching others to chase. One of balance, intention, and self-care. If his New York office was where he solved problems, then this is where he prevents them. Every breath here seems deeper, every hour slower. But even here, among trees and still waters, one thing remains clear. Dr. Mehmet Oz hasn't disappeared. He's just chosen a quieter way to lead. And beyond the gates of this serene retreat lies another layer of his world, one forged not in stillness, but in speed. It's time we look at what sits in his garage. Cars. If a man's garage reveals his soul, then Dr. Mehmet Oz's collection is a study in contrast. Discipline and indulgence, practicality and passion, elegance and edge. Each car parked beneath the timber-framed carport on his Florida estate has a story. Not just about horsepower or leather seats, but about who he was and who he's become. Aston Martin, 8 Vantage GT Roadster. Top down, engine growling, the sun slicing through Florida palms. This is not a doctor's car. This is a declaration. The V8 Vantage GT Roadster, with its 430 horsepower engine and 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds, is the kind of machine you drive when you need to feel something. Deeply, instantly. Oz bought it after wrapping a particularly intense season of the Dr. Oz show. He didn't need another vehicle. He needed a release. And what better way to let go of the noise than by gripping a hand-stitched leather wheel, pressing into the curves of a country road, and hearing the world finally go quiet. Except for the purr of British engineering. Lincoln Continental. Its old-school American grace. All chrome lines and wide shoulders. Dr. Oz often says this car reminds him of his father. Dignified, strong, and rooted in tradition. This is the car he takes when visiting community events, churches, or quietly pulling up to charity functions without fanfare. Inside, the cabin is a sanctuary. Plush seats, ambient lighting, a quiet that rivals even his Florida porch. For a man who lives with purpose, the Continental is not a relic. It's a statement of values. Classic, reliable, timeless. GMC Sierra Heavy Duty. It's not sleek, it's not flashy, but it's essential. The Sierra HD is for when the doctor becomes the farmer. When he's hauling mulch for the backyard garden, transporting supplies for a health corps school garden event, or towing small trailers with local food donations. Equipped with serious torque and a reinforced suspension, this truck doesn't whisper wellness. It works for it. Oz has been seen driving it with sleeves rolled up, mud on his boots, and a crate of organic vegetables in the back. Because healing isn't always sterile. Sometimes, it's dirty hands and heavy lifting. Ford Expedition Platinum. Family, comfort, and utility, all rolled into one powerful SUV. The Ford Expedition Platinum is where memories are made. Road trips with his children, weekend getaways with Lisa, impromptu beach drives with the grandkids. It's fully loaded, from adaptive cruise control to third-row leather seats. Not for show, but for function. For Oz, this vehicle is a moving living room. It's laughter on wheels, podcasts on long drives, and shared stories while Florida's backroads roll past the windows. If the Aston Martin is his escape, the Expedition is his return. to what grounds him most: family. Volkswagen Tiguan. Modest, efficient, unassuming. And yet, it's often the one he chooses when he's alone. The VW Tiguan is the car he drives on quiet mornings, to the farmer's market, to the lake, to nowhere in particular. It's not the fastest, nor the most expensive, but it fits his life now. Purposeful, reflective, light on excess. He's said this is the car that brings him the most clarity. No distractions, just the hum of the engine and his thoughts. So what do these vehicles really say? They aren't status symbols. They're extensions of a man who lives in layers, a heart surgeon who chases adrenaline, a public figure who craves stillness, a celebrity who chooses subtlety. For Dr. Oz, cars are more than machines. They're transitions, from city to country, from father to advisor, from noise to stillness. And the engine of that journey? It runs on more than fuel. It runs on vision, resilience, and a fortune that's as quietly powerful as the man himself. So, how Dr. Oz built a net worth of $300 million, and the decisions that took him from hospital scrubs to prime-time gold. $300 million. That's the figure whispered behind closed doors, printed in headlines and speculated by journalists when they speak of Dr. Mehmet Oz's astonishing net worth. But how does a heart surgeon, even one as gifted as he is, amass such a fortune? The answer lies not in a single check, but in a series of bold, calculated pivots. It began, as all fortunes do, with a choice. And part of that legacy, the part closest to his heart, has always been about giving. Let's step into the world of generosity that Dr. Oz has quietly nurtured, and the millions of lives he's touched beyond the operating table. Philanthropy. It was 2003 when a quiet but life-altering realization struck him. America was facing an invisible epidemic. Teenagers, overwhelmed by fast food, stress, digital isolation, and mental health struggles, were collapsing not from viruses, but from lifestyle. They weren't being taught how to live, only how to survive. That year, together with his wife Lisa, Dr. Oz founded HealthCore, a nonprofit built on a single radical belief: wellness should be a subject taught in every school. What began as a handful of programs in New York soon grew into a national movement. HealthCore didn't just show up with brochures. It embedded trained coordinators into high schools, mentoring students one-on-one in areas like nutrition, exercise, mindfulness, and emotional resilience. By the late 2010s, the initiative had reached over 250 high schools across America. It had quietly raised more than $80 million. And most importantly, it had touched millions of young lives. In underfunded neighborhoods of Philadelphia, HealthCore students planted rooftop gardens and learned how kale could heal more than just a stomach. In Southern California, they practiced guided breathing before exams and rewrote narratives around trauma. In rural towns, they gathered in gymnasiums not just to run laps, but to talk about anxiety, sugar addiction, or how to care for a depressed sibling. To Dr. Oz, this wasn't charity. This was triage, but for the soul. He didn't just sign checks. He showed up. He spoke at assemblies. He listened. He believed that if you could empower a 16-year-old to take charge of their body and mind, you weren't just saving a future patient. You were creating a future healer. But his impact didn't stop with HealthCore. Dr. Oz has long partnered with the American Heart Association, supporting campaigns like Team Up to Take Down Blood Pressure, where he'd visit churches and community centers, teaching underserved populations how to monitor and manage their heart health. He's a frequent donor and advocate for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, March of Dimes, and Adapt Community Network, each reflecting different pieces of his mission: to heal, to protect, and to dignify. Because for all the criticism and controversy that's followed him, about supplements, celebrity, or politics, this remains untouched. Dr. Oz believes that access to health is a human right, and he's spent decades and millions backing that belief with action. In a world of performative philanthropy, his giving is deliberate, surgical, not just in scope, but in intention. He doesn't just want to change numbers, he wants to change narratives. The narrative that says illness is destiny. The narrative that says only the wealthy deserve wellness. The narrative that says your zip code should determine your lifespan. And so, while his name may be etched into Emmy trophies and academic journals, it's the letters from students, thanking him for changing their path, that he keeps in a special drawer back in Okeechobee. Because to Dr. Oz, true legacy isn't what you earn. It's what you leave behind, quietly, powerfully, and with compassion. But behind the titles and television screens, who is Dr. Oz really? Let's take a closer look at his private life, where family, stillness, and reflection now take center stage. Personal life. When the cameras turn off, when the applause fades and the headlines shift, who is Dr. Mehmet Oz? Not the surgeon, not the TV personality, not the Senate candidate, just Mehmet. At home in Okeechobee, far from studios and spotlights, the man once known as America's Doctor lives a life that few would expect. Quiet, deliberate, and rooted in the simplest pleasures. He wakes early, often before the sun crests the lake outside his window. No alarms, no rush. Just the rhythm of crickets fading and light seeping through the glass doors of his bedroom. On some mornings, he meditates on the back stone patio, legs crossed, facing the still water like it's the only mirror he trusts. His wife, Lisa Oz, remains his closest confidant, not just in marriage, but in mission. She co-founded HealthCore with him, produced his earliest television ventures, and shares his passion for integrative living. Together, they've raised 4 children, each finding their own path away from the public glare. One is in medicine, one is in media. All, he says, are more grounded than he was at their age. And when they visit the Florida estate, laughter returns to the halls. There are Sunday dinners on the veranda, where Oz often insists on cooking. Grilled vegetables, wild-caught fish, herbs clipped from his own greenhouse. The dining table is long but never formal. Plates mix and match. Conversations flow from genetics to jazz. As administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, his days are laced with policy meetings and national debates. But even there, he carries a new kind of energy. Slower, more reflective, more personal. He insists on handwritten thank you notes. He brings homemade granola to the office. He tells his staff to take walks during lunch to protect their joy. He's not chasing fame anymore. He's chasing alignment with his values, his body, and his time. Oz no longer seeks to impress. He seeks to impact in ways that don't make headlines, but ripple nonetheless. Teaching his grandkids how to plant tomatoes, helping a neighbor troubleshoot a blood pressure monitor, visiting a small-town church just to listen. There's a story he once told in an interview about how, as a boy, he used to chase after his father's quick steps through hospital corridors. His dad never looked back. He just walked, confident and steady, knowing his son would follow. Today, Dr. Oz walks those same quiet steps. But he looks back often now, to check on his past, to reflect on his choices, and to ensure that those who follow, the next generation of doctors, leaders, and thinkers, walk with more gentleness, more presence, more purpose. Because for all his titles and triumphs, perhaps Dr. Oz's greatest evolution is this. He has learned to slow down, to live not in anticipation of applause, but in the stillness between heartbeats. To be not just a doctor of the body, but a healer of the life around him. From operating rooms to television screens, and now to the still waters of Florida, Dr. Mehmet Oz reminds us that true wealth isn't loud, it's intentional. If you believe that healing begins at home, in silence, and in self-awareness, then stay with us. More stories await.